Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the Memorial Preview Show. First off, I'd like to thank everyone for stopping by, and a special thank you to the veterans out there in military services that have provided me the freedoms that I get to enjoy. So I am recording this actually on Memorial Day. So it all kind of works out on that side. And just a real quick agenda. Going to go and give you, of course, the whole preview and everything you're going to need to know to start getting the DFS lineups together to make your smart bets. I'm also going to do a recap of the Charles Schwab, and I am also going to talk about a giveaway. And on that note, let's get into that. So, of course, we got the U.S. Open coming up in a couple weeks. And as always, for the majors and sometimes for other things, I like to share some of my successes, but mostly just to give back to the community and give you guys kind of some free entries. And so what I'm doing for this giveaway is a little different. I'm going to pick 5 winners for the $100 entry into the Millie Maker, which will give you a lot better chance of actually having a hope of winning. I think the other contest for the $20 is like 100,000 plus entries. This one's only 25,000 entries. Of course, the money that you get, you don't have to put it in this. You can put it in whatever you want, but that is the whole premise. And so all you need to do, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe. Actually, I was at 500 subscribers and we lost a couple due to whatever. So really trying to get the subscribe base up. And if you would like and share this, that's the couple things you need to do. And in return, just tell me who is going to win the U.S. Open, who you think is going to win in the YouTube comments below. And I will randomly do the magical spinning wheel to draw 5 lucky winners for a $100 entry. And if somehow within the next 2 weeks I get to 1,000 subscribers, which I highly doubt, but if it does happen, I'm going to double it. I'm going to go ahead and make it 10 winners. So it's $1,000 out of my pocket to you guys. Just to thank you again for tuning in and using my knowledge and the information I'm giving you to hopefully make you guys even more successful. I will announce the winners on June 9th, which will be my value play show for the upcoming tournament. I totally forgetting it's like Palmetto in South Carolina. So new tournament, new course, got to do some work on that side. But anyways, that's when I'll announce them, just to give you a heads up. So it gives us a couple weeks to get all the entries in and get you guys paid. So you can, of course, use the money to hopefully get in the $100 Millie Maker. Okay, enough about that. So real quick, just talk about the Charles Schwab. It was an interesting tournament, right? The one thing was, of course, you had Jordan Spieth come out as we thought he would and was lighting up the course, shot 7 under the first day. First round leader, which he killed all my first round leader bets, but neither here or there. It looked like what we expected on Thursday, Friday. And then you can see Jordan on Saturday started to kind of lose the approach, still made some good putts. I believe he shot a 66 off the top of my head. But still kept it together and was your, leader going into Sunday, wire to wire, it looked like. And everybody, including me, thought that he had a really good chance to win. I mean, a very comfortable course, past winner, 2 runner-ups, saw nothing that he shouldn't win. But also knew that Kokrak was playing well and was really, it came down to a match play event. It was, nobody else in the field was like within 7 shots of those guys at the time going into Sunday. I guess Garcia was, but Garcia, if you look at his past history on Sundays, except for Sanderson Farms and maybe there's a random one out there, just a disaster. So I expected Garcia to fall back. So he was 10 under, but the rest of the guys in the field were just too low to really catch him. And so in my view, it just was kind of a very, they kind of played conservative, safe. I know that both of them struggled off the bat. And that, Jordan mentioned that he just didn't have the game. Even he said he was fighting it on Saturday, which I knew that. But from a finale kind of showdown play, you still had to kind of play those guys because you knew they were going to keep first and second no matter how it switched. But you also thought, at least in my mind, that those guys would go out and it would be blow for blow, right? It would be, birdie, birdie, par, par. Never in my wildest dreams that I think Jordan would go out and shoot 3 over, Kokrak shoot even and win the tournament. But neither here or there. I actually had, I only bring that up because I had some really nice opportunities to do really well. And on that note, I did have a really nice showdown finish on Friday. Took second place, which was 10K. And so that's also partly going to share that with you guys with the giveaway. And as I've always stated, it's not me to tout. It's just to let you guys know, of course, I'm just not on here, you know, spouting out a bunch of knowledge. I'm playing the plays that I state to you guys. And of course, you know, some of my major bets was on Patty Kazire and Hoffman. Rode those guys through thick and thin. They both had kind of rough Saturdays, but other than that, had a good tournament. And was really hoping, of course, they would win from an outright betting perspective, but that didn't happen. But neither here nor there. What I'm asking for is if you guys have any successes using, you know, of course, the knowledge that I'm kind of providing, I would love for you to share them in YouTube comments. Let me know, and I will definitely tout them on the show here. Okay, let's go. We're going to jump into the analytics. I'm going to try to keep the recap a little shorter because we have a lot of other things to cover. But yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to share, just from kind of a general overview of the Charles Schwab. All right, let's go look at some analysis with the focus of the tournament coming up. Okay, so again, I always apologize up front that what I'm showing is a bit of an eye chart, but I'm just going to kind of walk you through on what's important. And what we're looking at here is the stroke gain analysis for these guys. Just something to look at and how they did, what they did, and something to think about going in to this upcoming event here at the Memorial. All right, so of course your winner was Jason Kokrak. I did not pick him. Now, I knew he had some success around this track and knew that, funny enough, and I think I mentioned it on the previous shows, that, you know, he plays like the RBC Heritage. He plays those courses, the courses that you would think wouldn't really fit a Jason Kokrak. He actually plays well, and that shows up once in a while. There's guys that we don't think is as long, can play the long, difficult courses, like a Fitzpatrick comes up to mind, who's had success at the Memorial. But I knew of Jason Kokrak, and I thought, you know, of him, but he was not one of my top 15 picks. He actually led the field with 23 birdies. You know, just played solid the first 3 days, as I mentioned, shot even. He actually led the field off the tee, and he led the field in total strokes gained, which again, no shocker. You know, we have been seeing that over the last few tournaments. If you want to know who led in the other categories, you had Kyle Stanley gaining over 8 strokes on approach. And you had Adam Hadwin, who typically does have a really good around the green game, gaining 5 strokes. And then you had Sebastian Munoz, which this was probably the one outlier shocker out of all of it, that Sebastian gained 10 strokes with the putter. That's a rarity. Now, Sebastian is an amazing first-round leader play. He's a great showdown play. Typically, he's a Thursday, Friday kind of guy, and then falls back on the weekends, or an every other day kind of guy, where if he has a good Thursday, don't play him Friday, but play him Saturday. But yeah, that's, I mean, I'd have to go back and look at his stats, but that's maybe the most strokes he's ever gained with the putter. And then tee to green, yeah, Kyle Stanley, which is kind of amazing. You know, he ended up with a T8, and typically, if you show up in that category leading tee to green, you know, and not win a tournament, then you got to look over at the putter, and he lost 3 strokes putting, which is pretty typical for Kyle Stanley. Okay, from an eagle perspective, you had Morikawa and Nate Lashley, who both had 2 eagles, and for the guy that won the most bogey awards was JJ Henry. So just so you know, from that kind of perspective. Okay, let's go back and let's just quickly talk about a few of these guys, and then we'll get on to the Memorial. Okay, so as mentioned, you'll see my picks are the ones in this kind of, I don't know, vanilla tan color. I don't know why I always pick that color, but I do. If you see this gray color over here, that means they are playing in Memorial. I didn't go through with every guy. I just picked out some of the notables that will be, that played at, you know, this tournament and will be going over. Shocker is Jason Kokrak, of course, a Midwest Ohio guy. For whatever reason, already decided on his schedule he was not going to play this event. The only other, you know, really local guy would be Jason Day, who lives, I believe, right in Dublin. And I would guess he probably belongs to this course. But, of course, Jason Day's game's been a little suspicious. But just that's a total side note. If you see this blue color here, typically I like to highlight the guys that were kind of the low-cost guys that really shook up, you know, how the DFS thing would have played out. If you had typically, there's usually 6,000 level guys up here, and funny enough, in this tournament, which is a tougher track, tougher tournament. But you know, usually you still see some 6,000s pop. You can see the only one that came in at T14 was Kramer Hickok. I always think it's interesting because if these are the guys that are going to differentiate your lineup and allow you to build with the higher guys up here. But really, it was the low 7,000s that kind of came through. And Patty Kazire, who I was all over, right? He was in my top 5 picks. Had him on an outright bet. I believe he was 100 to 1 to win. was really pulling for Patty. He just had a rough Saturday. And so funny enough, Charlie Hoffman, the exact same thing. They, Charlie came out and shot one over the first day, but shot that 8 under on Friday. And what was really weird, also something I wanted to mention was the course actually played, I thought would play tougher Thursday, Friday due to the winds. They had weather delays on Friday due to rain. And funny enough, the best day scoring was the weather delay. Weather delay due to rain was the best scoring. And then on Saturday, when it was calm, the course should have been pretty, it wasn't saturated. It was already had a ton of water. The guys really didn't go out and do anything. On the day that, moving day, technically the pins should be in a little easier position. And even same on Sunday. Again, not really anything going on with the wind. The course was playing, I think, easier than usual. It wasn't firm and fast. And the guys, except for, you had Troy Merritt, who shot 5 under. You had Hoffman, who shot 5 under. But, really other than that, you had a few guys shoot 2 under, 3 under. It was just really interesting. I guess it's the simplest way to put it. The days that were windy, the guys shot better. And then on the days that were calm, they really didn't. And so I have no explanation for that. My explanation for Kokrak and Spieth, as I already mentioned, it became a match play. And it was very tentative, conservative golf. Of course, Jordan didn't have his swing. And we can kind of look at, Jordan's tee to green was definitely better in this. And Thursday, Friday, it started to fall. You can see that the putter kept them together. Kazire, did approach was amazing. Good off the tee, did everything well. Ian Poulter actually, kind of came in at the end there with a few birdies on Sunday to kind of shoot up. Not that great off the tee, but the putter again saved him. I think he made 3 birdies in a row on the back. If we look at Charlie again, one of my favorite picks. Did everything well. He was hitting crazy approaches. Around the green was a little suspicious, and even on Kokrak, if you got to watch a little bit of that, he really struggled out of the sand. Just kind of note to self in the future, we have a sandy course. I think it was just kind of maybe more nerves than anything that he's not really typically better than out of the sand. Grillo was another one of my picks. Kind of had a slow start, but shot 2 under every day after. Kind of funny. He lost strokes off the tee, which typically he gains, but I think he lost strokes in the previous tournament also. So something we got to watch off the tee. Still a lead on approach. Not the greatest around the green, but the putter, gaining strokes with the putter, which is typically what holds him back. If we look at Morikawa, who will be in this tournament, of course, won the workday. We'll talk more about that. Kind of struggled with the putter. Even struggled on Saturday with his irons. He was kind of really suspicious on Saturday play. And you can see, really nothing off the tee. Still a lead on approach. The putter with that new saw grip, still kind of struggling there. Abraham Ancer, the 2 guys that I really thought would do very well here. And I think, they were kind of, industry standards. I'm not saying I had anything. The most unique was Patty Kazire that I called. But Abraham Ancer and Joaquin Niemann. Joaquin struggled, made the cut, but nothing great. But Abraham Ancer, you can see, really came out very blah and then shot 3 under, 3 under. So had a good weekend, but a very bad. So funny enough, the wind kind of affected him and then kind of took advantage of the better conditions, we'll say. On approach, not typical at all. The putter's doing well, but that is not Abraham Ancer-like approach. So that's probably why he suffered as much as he did. Pick Corey Connors, kind of a condom play there, to be honest. I mean, Corey Connors is typically, he's kind of fallen back again with the putter. He's, lost a couple strokes. So he had that streak of gaining. And so, the short of it is Corey Connors, if he gains with the putter, like a few guys off the top of my head, like a Will Z, same with Morikawa, elite ball strikers, if they, gain with the putter, they are going to win some tournaments. Daniel Berger, again, nothing too excited, was 4 under going into the weekend and, again, struggled on, I think, the easiest day on Saturday. Came back with another 2 under. Lost off the tee, gained on approach, and gained a little bit with the putter. He will not be in the field, it looks like, coming up here, but Corey Connors will. Tony Finau's had some success here at Muirfield Village for the Memorial where we're going to. He had a nice... kind of opening it, right? He was 6 under, then went into Sunday, lost a couple strokes, but really struck the. I just wanted to highlight this. Killed it tee to green. Typical what's been hurting Tony is the putter. Lost 4 strokes putting. So Someone interesting to think about coming up here for the Memorial. JR, came out, had a nice Thursday, Friday, even a decent Saturday comparative because, like I said, no one was doing a whole lot. But still struggling tee to green, but the putter's been crazy. Zach Johnson. What's also is interesting, I had my 5 value plays, which is pretty difficult. That I hit all 5 of them, made the cut. That's rare because I don't pick guys that are 8,000, 9,000 and call them a sleeper or a value play. They have to be under 7,500 in my book to be a value play. But, horses for courses, Zach Johnson, had a T32, nothing fabulous, but got you to the weekend and had a pretty solid, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But, he's been losing strokes tee to green, made up for it with the putter, huge, over 8 strokes and around the green. Again, kind of the flip side with him, if he actually gets his tee to green back together, could be very live. HV3, Harold Varner, had some past success here, past success at RBC Heritage. Came out, was terrible opening round, but really had a good round on Friday. Nice round on Saturday, struggled a little bit on Sunday. And which is interesting, lost off the tee. Typically, he will gain strokes off the tee, gained on approach, as typical at HV3, lost with the putter. Tringali, kind of ho-hum. Came out 3 under, looked good, then was 4 under, and then, not a great weekend for him. Losing off the tee, so we got to keep an eye on that. Everything else was positive. Kevin Na, another one of my picks, guy that I do not like to pick. I'll just put it that way. Came out 3 over, then went 5 under, had a really nice showing on Friday. I don't know if he was in that lineup that I had that ended up second, but, definitely had him in some lines, but you can see losing off the tee, which, for Kevin Na, that's going to be pretty typical, but really gained on approach. That's interesting that he lost that much with the putter. So if he could have gained strokes or stayed even with the putter, it looks like he could have even done better. Danny Lee, right? I was telling Danny Lee, 250 to 1 to win the thing. Even first on leader. Of course, he's a member here. Was kind of hoping for a little more. I mean, made you the cut, and then just kind of, struggled, with the putter and around the green. Amazing enough. You can see he knows how to get around that track. Gained 3.5 off the tee, gained almost 3.5 on approach, lost around the green, lost with the putter. Justin Thomas will be in this field coming up. JT came out and really struggled first day, but shot 4 under on the next day. And the short of it, why I'm even talking about him, is because this Sunday round, it only shows 1 under. I think he missed like 4 birdies that were within like 6-7 feet. Again, still kind of struggling with that putter, but what I'm getting to is the ball striking is looking good. If he gets some confidence with that putter, he is going to be back to JT standards. But of course, I didn't have fades. I didn't pick fades. For some reason, I totally forgot. I, of course, was fading JT, but didn't state that. But, that is definitely in my mind until it's kind of the same with like the ROMs and the DJs. I will never, play the guys that are at the most expensive until they start to show me they're worth that dollar. And some of those guys have not shown that. Joaquin Neiman, Brent Snedeker, Stewart, like I said, all these guys made a cut, didn't do anything. Will Z, I don't know if he's starting to fall from grace a little bit, but I've just, been seeing him at the last few at the Byron. The courses that he should do well in Texas, he's been struggling. It's the simplest way to put it. That's what's really crazy is that he lost almost 6 strokes on approach. The putter has been typically pretty bad, except, he had a good showing at the Augusta on the fast bent greens. Of course, we are going to be playing super fast lightning bent greens. There is some crossover from Muirfield Village to Augusta. The problem is we don't have a lot of the Augusta data from a stroking analysis, but guys that have had success at the Masters will tend to have success here. Lastly, noted Patrick Reed could be an interesting play coming up. He missed a cut, I believe, right on the number. Tee to green wasn't good. You can see even in make on the putter, but typically he shows up at like of course, the difficult tracks, and look for him to have a bounce back. Sunjay M, he is used to be Mr. Steady Eddie, and he is like back and forth. Make a cut, look okay. Next tournament, miss a cut. And typically it's been on approach. Yep. I don't know what's going on with his irons, but he has been losing strokes on approach, which was typical. And typically he gains off the tee. So typically he hits that little fade, hits every fairway, usually good on approach. It was, at times it was the putter that would cause him the issues, and unless he was on Bermuda. The only thing else I'll note, Rory Sabatini really killed me on Sunday. Came out, had a pretty nice Thursday, Friday to make the cut. But I did tout Rory. He was one of my value plays, but you can kind of see he fell apart towards the weekend. Then just noted Siwoo Kim was not one of my picks, but is going to be playing at the Memorials, at least what I know. But he had to withdraw. So he played Thursday, 18 holes, and I don't remember what he shot. I don't think it was anything terrible. And then came out and went bogey, par, bogey, and then withdrew. So I have no issue if he had a back problem or what the issue, or if he just was, whatever. I have no idea. Just noting that he did have a withdrawal and was losing a lot of tee. But, like I said, and losing with putter, but he wasn't playing god awful. So I don't know what happened there. Chris Kirk really fell apart. I mean, shot 7 over on Sunday. That was crazy. I mean, he was 1 over, 1 under, 1 under. Thought he'd be a really nice fit here. So, again, maybe Chris Kirk's coming back down to earth a little bit. Keep an eye on that. Yeah, Brendan Grace. So, I didn't have him as a pick, but if somebody did, I think I had him in one lineup in the big game. He withdrew after playing 18 holes, shot a 76, and just withdrew. And again, no clue why. I don't know if he was just burned out. And I just point out Zinzu Zhang, is going to be playing, had a T10 here last year. And just from a price standpoint, could be a value play. Made the cut here on the weekend, had a terrible Sunday, like some of the guys did. But yeah, I think that's it. That's really all I wanted to talk about, just to give you some ideas of what the guys did from a stroke gain analysis and to think about for the upcoming. All right, let's get into the course breakdown. Okay, so we're heading to the Midwest, Dublin, Ohio, to Jack's place. Of course, Jack built this course. It was actually named after when he won the British Open at Muirfield over there in Europe. And this course was founded and built in '76. He's done renovations to this course multiple times, but I'm sure if you remember or you're going to hear multiple times that he's done I guess I'd call it a major renovation. So literally after Rahm made the putt after winning in 2020, if you remember, the guys came out and started ripping up the sod, literally after picked the putt up, got off the green, and those guys started the renovations to get ready for this year. What I know about the renovations, I've read quite a bit into it. I'm not going to go into all the specifics. The short of it is the courses, they've added more what they call PGA tournament tees to lengthen the course. So the course has been lengthened by about 100 yards. But ultimately, what I've heard was that they made the course more user-friendly for the members. And so Jack wanted to make this so it was a little bit of, hey, going forward, we know that the length thing is going to be, keep going and, has not been addressed yet. So I think Jack wanted to make sure that he got to make the changes before, maybe going on to that, back nine up in the sky. So nothing really crazy. I mean, I know they removed some bunkers, more water got closer to some greens. I don't think it's going to play a ton different. So we're going to be leveraging all the stroke gain analysis and all the information we have from prior stuff without a real big worry that, hey, even though, like I said, some of the green complexes have been changed, like I said, T complexes, but, some holes, I think there was 4 or 5 that were not even touched. So long story short, just wanted to make that note that I understand there has been changes. The yardage that you see there is updated with the extra 100 on there. And it is, of course, we're playing a par 72. When we get to the fairways, you got bent grass mixed with POA. And then, of course, you've got the rough, which is a key defense of this course, around 3 to 4 inches. And that's kind of a mix of Kentucky bluegrass, ryegrass, fescue. So if you get in the rough, it can be difficult to get out. Or, at least if you're trying to hit the greens, to hit the ball closest to the pin and hold it. And then, of course, we are on bent grass / with POA. I'll also make notes just in case I forget that the fairways are generous. So typically guys can, hit these fairways. And the greens are a little smaller than average and have quite a bit of undulation. So I'll talk about that again on course defense. The player field, a lot like the Charles Schwab. It is a 120 player field, invite only, typical T65. So I don't know about you guys, but in the big game, I think I put 20 entries in. I had 15 6 of 6 going in. I think over 60% of people had 6 of 6s going into the Charles Schwab. So that felt a little bit good, but really didn't change any outcomes because, no big swings on that. Historical cut line is anywhere between 4 over to 1 under. I'd say on average is kind of +1 to +2 is a historical cut line. Winning score, so this is kind of interesting if you look at when John Rahm won, right? There were some conditions that happened. I'll talk about those. He shot 9 under to win that. And then literally the year before when Patrick Cantlay won, he shot 19 under. So this course can play very different depending on the conditions. And we'll talk a little bit about why those conditions happen. So, right, we had the Workday charity event. It was kind of like a one-time event, and I'm still not sure why, we had that back-to-back at Muirfield, but we did. And so, right, that course, the week before when Morikawa and JT went to the playoff, Morikawa won, after 3 playoff holes. Of course, they had that great putt-off on the first hole. JT got behind a tree. Morikawa, I think, made his par, and JT made bogey. And long story short, Morikawa wins the weekend before for the Workday charity event. Then we get the next weekend came, and this is what I remember very specifically, is that they also had, if you remember back when the PGA kicked back, they were doing like those 9-hole scramble kind of charity events. And I remember Finau and Rahm played together, and they played 9 holes, and they went out and lit up the course. And I remember them talking to Jack, and Jack literally said, I guarantee you, boys, the course will not be playing like this when you get to the Memorial. And what they did was dry the course out, and the winds kicked up, and away it went. And so that's when the guys struggled big time. It was some of the roughest conditions, especially on a Sunday, that the PGA Tour played on in that whole year. So when you look at this, all I'm saying is I would have to predict that the winning score, I think, is going to be more towards a 15 to 17 under kind of thing, and not what you see there with like a 9 under, unless, of course, we get some wind. Now, from a weather perspective, there is supposed to be some rain, possibly Thursday, Friday. I think that's actually going to help the players. It's going to, weten the course a little bit. If that happens, of course, you can fire at pins. You're going to be able to hold the greens. If that doesn't happen and, it's sunny and dry, which living in Michigan, know that, we've had not super wet conditions, but it's been a little cooler than usual. So, it could get a little firmer, a little slick. Of course, I'm sure they're going to have around the greens mowed tight. So the runoffs, you're going to run down into the runoffs and the repel. So long story short of all I'm trying to say here is Jack does not like his course being scored on. He wants a tougher test. And so whatever they can do to do that, they will. But I think with the current conditions being what they are, unless like you saw at Colonial where they didn't mow the rough, which that's a little unique for the Colonial. They have that deep of rough, but with all the rain they had there, they just couldn't get in there and mow, I guess, enough, which was a little unexpected. That was not typically how that course plays. So anyways, I think that's everything from a course breakdown that you need to know. And if you want, like as I always do, give you guys kind of a quick overhead view. And all I'm going to show you here is that there is water on quite a few of these holes. You have creeks that run aside. So, you have these traps that probably does a little better illustration with these. What's unique, I think, about this course is that these traps that are, 50 yards, that if you hit them, it makes it very difficult to, get maybe not on the green, but to get close to the pin. So you need to be a good trap player unless you're awesome on approach, which we've seen is a key stroke gain indicator to be successful here. And here is just showing, water along, of course, the greens. You're going to see a bit of that here, which starts to tend to think about, I think Bay Hill is not a bad comparable course, which is funny is some of the winners, except for Bryson DeChambeau, who has crossover, right? He won his breakout event here in 2018, of course, won recently at Bay Hill. But I looked at like Cantlay and Rahm, and neither of those guys, funny enough, again, I might be a little off, but have never played the Arnold Palmer, never played Bay Hill. So, but I think from a course correlation, I think the Honda is a pretty good course correlation to these. So I haven't got into the comp courses specifically as to who exactly I'd be picking, but just to give you some ideas if you've never seen, for whatever reason, the Memorial. And then for the scorecard, the only things I'll kind of denote here, you have the tough finish, which, seems like to be the kind of the thing now. The Colonial wasn't really that way. You had the tough holes right at 3, 4, and 5, the horrible horseshoe. I wouldn't say it's a gentle handshake to start, but nothing too crazy. Your opportunities here are the par 5s. So shorter par 5s, that's where you're going to have to make your hay. You got some par 4s like this that, to go for it or not. This 340. Par threes, a couple of them are some of the tougher holes on the course. You got this 171, number 2 handicap. You got this part number 4, 190, 6 handicap. From a showdown perspective, I don't glean anything that would be, hey, start them on the back, start them on the front. The long story short, they're going to have to make, manage the par fours, the longer par fours, and make the hay on the par fives, which is very typical. And it is a typical par 72. 4 par threes, 4 par fives, and I believe 10 par fours. If I just did my math right there. Past conditions. So we talked a little bit about this, but the long story short is, lightning fast greens. They're bent greens. So we get, you can look at the guys again that done well putting at Augusta. I mean, Will Z, funny enough, just sticks out in my brain because he seems to struggle on slower greens, in which the last couple of events have been slower greens. And now we're going to a bent fast, which he did very well putting at Augusta. And of course, typically is pretty elite tee to green. So like one of the guys that just comes to my brain. Of course, scoring relative to par is all going to come down to the wind. And this is kind of funny. It should have this Sunday at red windy. I don't know why. I guess maybe the gusts just didn't get high enough, or I think it was gusty, but maybe at times the even keel wind wasn't high enough. But I don't know what they're talking about. It was crazy windy conditions. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the weather is really all I'd say there. The rough, as I've said, is long and penile here. So that's something I'll plug in. Again, another person that just pops in my brain. I've talked about this before. Little longer tracks when you have that high rough. Bryson DeChambeau just, again, has always done well in high rough and distance. He's got a steeper angle of attack, a more upright of attack, and of course he's hitting a smaller iron into these greens. So someone that we're going to want to look at. And I was all over Bryson for the last few events. So, it would make total sense, of course, past winter here, but not the Bryson we know today. It was a different Bryson that won here in the past. And then again, if you want to build your perfect golfer, the guy that we're looking for is first off and most just an approach master. Green and reg shows up huge here. So ball striking, these two together, number one. You got to be a great putter. You really need all the fastest of the game here. This is a demanding course. We'll get into the past winners, but it's going to be pretty rare that, Joe Schmo out of nowhere is going to win this tournament. I think distance is applicable here. I think it's definitely going to help. Of course, you want to hit the fairways, so that will be turned on for me when I do the models. Around the green is going to be key. You got to be able to get out of the sand. And really, it's one or the other, right? Either you're hitting greens or you're going to be, around the green. So you're going to have to get up and down. Proximity of the pins that show up the most, I'd say the 175 to 200 is key. The next one is 150 to 175. So I'll be looking at that. Stroke gain, you got 6 of these 450 to 500 par fours. So I'm going to be looking at that. And then par 3 efficiency, I said 2 of the harder holes on the course are the par 3s. And then, very gettable par 5s, 530 to 560. And, look for eagles and birdies and opportunities there to make the scoring. So if we look at the past winners, I always do this, of course. And it's not to just say, hey, this guy won, this guy won. I want to look more about what I'm thinking from a model perspective, from a stroke game perspective. And the things that, I was already kind of on was the approach is going to be key. Around the green is going to be key. And of course, putting. Now you can always get things done a little different. But in short, we look at these guys, the past 3 winners, most recent, I think the model that I'm looking to be approach around the green and putting. I think off the tee, if you just gain a stroke or stroke and a half, you're good. You don't need to gain a ton. But, if you think of Morikawa at the workday, which I did not pull up here, just an elite, iron ball striker. So with that said, I did, of course, create a quick model. I like this model. I don't know what changes I'll make. Of course, I always do a slim down model before I start to do the picks. But, I want to take that broad stroke, big net, see what it pulls in. This is looking at no filters. This is looking over the past 12 rounds. And, of course, the weighting that I'm looking at is on approach. And again, for everybody, this is stroke gain analysis against the field over their last 3 tournaments. First thing I'm weighting heavily is approach, as we already mentioned, at 15%. Ball striking at 10, putting at 10, around the green at 5, sand saves 10. This might be changed a little bit, but I just put it that way to begin with. I like the driving distance with the fairways gained, green and reg, just to kind of emphasize them more on the approach side. The par 3s, as mentioned, there's a couple tough holes there they got to look at. So, how efficient are they just playing par 3s? Of course, this 450 to 500 with 6 par 4s. Proximities of these two, I weighted this one a little heavier from 175. Put that all in, and funny enough, it spits out Stewart Cink, which, of course, he has been, of course, doing well. Recent win not too long ago here. One at the Safeway, and, of course, I'm going to blank. Oh, RBC Heritage is your number one. Keegan Bradley, been elite, tee to green. What's interesting, I don't see Sam Burns pop up here. Oh, wait, I take that back. Sam Burns, number 6. He's going to be an interesting play, right? He burned me. Oh, geez. I get these tournaments. I always just mix my head. But whatever it was, a couple that would draw a tournament ago after the 5th hole slip. So that's going to be interesting to see what his ownership is. But, a guy that pops in my brain. I'm going to try to do a little more digging into the whole Sam Burns, if he, let out anything on what happened after the 5th hole when he withdrew. But anyways, a lot of the guys that have been playing well that we see coming up here, Hideki Matsuyama, I think it was his big first win in 2016 here. Been playing well. Looks like he's got a little of the rust knocked off on the putter and around the green, always elite tee to green. Chris Kirk, I think, probably be someone that I don't know. His performance for the last couple events have been rough, so I'm going to have a hard time probably getting on him. The next thing I looked at was just purely running that same model against, Muirfield Village. So this is played at Muirfield, how many, times they've done well here. You're going to see some of the guys, you have Rahm, who won and looks like he missed a cut before. You got Matty Wallace, who played here once. So you're going to have some guys, you have, Colin Morikawa showing up here, which that's kind of funny. So it looks like I'm going to have to also run the workday information because it didn't pull that in. And we know he played here at least twice. So he should have 8 rounds. But anyways, if you look at some names, of course, Cantlay is your number 1. Adam Scott, which under terrible form. Rory, of course, won at the Wells. Fargo at Quail. And then missed the cut at the PGA. So that's going to be an interesting try to figure that out. Benoit Annis had some success here, but his game, he, of course, just played at Colonial. Kind of struggled there. Didn't make the cut, but nothing to write home about. Billy Horschel had a good Sunday at Colonial at Charles Schwab. So someone else we could look at. But yeah, interesting. Jamie Lovemark is so funny how he'll pop up on these random models here or there. But, he's been not good for a long time. All right, history at comp courses. So I did go ahead and this is over 7,400 yards, par 72 on bent grass. Of course, you get like Crooked Stick pop up. You get Augusta. I'm trying to think of some other courses off the top of my head. Anyways, like 4 or 5 courses pop up. But just so you know, if you just looking at a comp course rating, who's done well at similar courses, you got JT, Patrick Cantlay, Bubba, Corey Connors, Louis. That's going to be interesting. Louis, of course, has been in really good form. Yeah, just some other names. There's my Danny Lee there at the bottom. Funny enough, John Rahm at the bottom. But this is top 20 guys at comparable courses, which, of course, includes Muirfield Village. And if you want to know just over the last 24 rounds, who's been the best bent grass putters, Brandon Todd shows up number 1. Actually had shot a 7 under on, I think it was Saturday at Charles Schwab at the Colonial. So, he's been playing a little better. Kind of had a little bit of a downslope, but that's interesting. Of course, Tringali, Charles Howell, Rafa Cabrera's popped up a couple rounds. I think he was a first round leader a couple tournaments ago. Had a decent round at the Colonial. Was a guy that I think I had some bets on and even tried to play him in Showdown, but didn't do anything too great. Cameron Smith, guy that I've been high on, could definitely be very live here. I don't know if Paddy Gazire is playing here. I think he stated in his press conference that he is playing here. Funny enough, I just brought that up because he doesn't show up here, but someone that I'll be looking to stay on his recent hot form. And that's it. I think that's everything I wanted to get you guys get your brains kind of spinning, get your thoughts start going. Not taking a day off, even on Memorial Day, to come talk to you guys about the Memorial. So do me the favor, if you've not subscribed, again, we're trying to get that subscribe base up, of course, to get in the giveaway for the U.S. Open, the $100, 5 of you guys I'm going to pick. Make sure you subscribe, like and share if you like what I'm doing, share with anybody else. It's funny, I had one gentleman mentioned in the YouTube comments, which was the nicest comment. I appreciated it, that, he kind of found me, even tweeted me out, but doesn't want me to get too well known. So I thank him for that. It was one of the better comments I ever got. But hey, we got to get it out there so we can keep growing the community. And also, amazing enough, when you guys tell me things, I miss things. At times, I'm going to miss things or forget to say things. And so it's amazing. We have a really good community that will share information, and then I just give it back to you guys. So the more we can kind of grow our community, the more we're all going to kind of come together and be successful. So, anyways, that's my little side note on that. Of course, if anything I can help you out, or if you have any questions, hit me up on YouTube comments or at Twitter at DFS Golf Guru, and follow me there. Like I said, I do put out little pieces of information that come across that I think is pertinent. All right, guys, best of luck to us. Hey, have a great Memorial weekend. Again, thank you to the vets. If you have not told, I have to tell some of my family that thank you again for our liberties that we have today. All right, talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll put out my picks and then the value plays. All the best.